How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, the founder of the Hard Gainer Academy. And what I want to talk about today is stretching really necessary? I get this question a lot. People will be asking me, what type of stretching should I do? Should I even be stretching in the first place? Like, why should I even stretch? And I'm like, you know what? I think stretching is very important. I'm going to talk about it. But first, let's distinguish the two types of stretching you could do. So the first one being is static stretching. So static stretching is when you're holding your position for a certain period of time, which tends to be around 30 to 40 plus seconds. Some people might even do a hold up to 50 or a minute, but usually over 40 seconds or around that time mark is where you're doing a static stretch or a long hold for. Now, when we look at dynamic stretching, pretty much it sort of looks like a warm up. There's no long hold involved, right? But you're just pretty much just moving within a range as far as warming up the muscles and so on. But just know with dynamic stretching, no long holds involved. So now let's talk about why stretching is actually necessary. So what stretching does, it helps get your muscles ready. One thing when you're doing static stretching or a long hold, it can cause instability in the joints. So what does that mean? So let's say, for example, you're about to do a particular type of a workout. So let's say we're going to say weight training. That is not a good thing. Your muscles will not be able to actually perform at the level they're supposed to when you do a static stretch and go straight into your weight training. When you do a dynamic stretch now, then it's a bit more different. It's more so a warm up. You're loosening up your joints, right? So instead, what happens when you get into your training, it transfers over a lot better than a static hold. All right. So that's why I always say before you even start training, before you start lifting the weight, it is great doing a dynamic stretch and also a warm up to get your blood flowing and get your muscles ready. If you want to do any static stretching, then you could do it after your workout. There's actually many studies that have shown that this is the better thing to do. Because when you do these long holds or these long stretches after your workout, it's a great way to loosen yourself up. Because as we said, while you're doing your weight training, you're tearing the muscles down. And again, you might feel a little bit tight. So to loosen yourself up at the end works out very, very well. Another time that you could do your static stretching is in the morning. A lot of people will do it in the evening before bed. One thing I would heavily advise is warm yourself up. Get your body to a certain temperature. You know where you're feeling warm, you're feeling pretty good. Because when you static stretch when you are cold, then you are not going to get the main benefits out of static stretching whatsoever because your muscles will be too tight, right? So the good thing is you warm up a bit and then you get into the long holds of stretching. So you can even do this in the morning or you could do it in the evening. It is up to you. And you could also do it after your workout. So just to quickly recap that, when it comes to your static stretching, right, you could do it in the morning, but make sure you warm up first. Secondly, you could do it after your workout. You should be doing it after your workout. If you can't, that is fine. But doing it after your workout is great. Don't do it before. And then for the third thing, if you want to do it in the evening, again, make sure you do a warm up. Get those muscles a little bit warm, get them, ready for the stretching, and then you could do it. So you do your warm up, then you static stretch, then you go to bed. So those are the three situations where you can really utilize static stretching. So now let's look at dynamic. So as far as dynamic stretching, again, before you start your weight training, you could do it. That'll get your temperature up and get your muscles ready for the work ahead. It's really good if you choose something that is very specific. I know I say that word kind of funny, but specific to what you're doing. So let's say, for example, you're about to go on the bench press. Could be something like this, where you're just moving your arms like that, loosening up your chest. That is a great way to say, well, you know what? Jump into your warm-up set and then get into your workout set after, and you'll get the most out of the workout. If you just went inside a gym, you didn't warm up, and you were cold and went straight into your training, then you raise your chances of actually getting hurt because your muscles are not ready. Your body hasn't warmed up. So that's when dynamic stretching can really play a vital role. Another time that you can do it is whenever. So Dre, what do you mean whenever? Like literally. So for example, if you want to do it before you go to bed, you can do it because again, it's a way of warming up, right? It's going to warm your body up and it's going to loosen you up. So you could actually do it in the morning, you could do it in the evening. A lot of people actually do a lot of dynamic stretching, and then after they use that as a way to warm themselves up and then do their static stretching, right? So that's another way you can go about doing it if you're going to be doing it, let's say in the morning or in the evening while you're at home. As far as for the gym, you keep those things separate. You do the dynamic before the weight training, and then you can do the static after the weight training. So as far as static stretching is concerned, I would highly suggest, if you want to improve your overall flexibility, and a lot of studies have shown, is that you want to do it at least 3 times a week. Do it at least 3 times a week. You could gradually work yourself up. A good way to kind of stick with it is to do it right after your workouts, because you're already in the gym anyways, and you might as well just do it there instead of making a separate time for it. Because if you're really busy or you have a lot of things going on, you may not get around to doing it. So if you do it 3 times a week, then you will improve your flexibility over time. So that's also a good thing as well, because that'll improve your mobility and you'll have a better range of motion when you're doing your training. So what does that mean? If you can go through a longer range of motion, more potential to actually build more muscle. So stretching is really, really necessary. Whichever one you choose. To be honest with you, I would choose both. Go with both. But if you are going to only choose one, then I would say you could probably get the most bang for your buck with dynamic stretching, because again, you just have way more options and way more flexibility in regards to when you can use it. And it won't be too detrimental in regards to, let's say, for example, you're doing it and you're inside the gym and maybe you might be confused and you're like, hey, I know I got to do some sort of stretching. Then dynamic stretching could be that thing. You could also do it in between workouts. So for example, let's say you're on the bench, you did the chest example I spoke about. You do that. Let's say you got to do a squat session right after. Then after, you could do some knee highs, right? When you lift your knees up into the air, that's another form of dynamic stretching. Again, you can't really go wrong with either of them, but if you can use both of them, then it is a very, very strong combination in regards to improving your overall performance and also making sure that you're in good health and you're maintaining your longevity from here to the future. But anyways, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So if you are skinny fat guy, do not ignore your stretching. It will go a long way. I want to keep telling you guys this because I want to make sure you do it. And make sure you try to use both of them using the strategies that I just told you today. Hope you found this video helpful, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Peace out.